Hello and welcome to the another edition of Mrs. Shots. And today's special guest is the boss, is Zoe.
I'm not sure I'm the boss, but thank you. Hi, Chris.
Hi. You're in the process of launching Aspire plan. Can you tell me about the process of putting that together?
I can. Yeah, thank you. Yes, it's been really exciting. So one of the things we've done with pulling the plan together is try to make sure we've got lots of different people involved, people who know Aspire really well, maybe people that are new to Aspire. And try and build on the things that we know are working well. So bringing people together from our board, from our customer council, bringing in people like our staff teams who are really valuable people to bring in, and also partners. So we had a real mix of people who came together, who talked to us a little bit about what they thought might work in terms of the future of Aspire. Mm-hmm. And there were really honest conversations, Chris, about, I think you were involved in some, weren't you, about the things that we do well and also the things that we might want to think about in the future.
Yes.
So we've spent time doing that. We started last year in June, so last year 2023, and we went right through till January with lots of different sessions that focused on different bits of the organisation. And some of those things were things like, what do we want to do about people? And that included how we work more with people we support to access new things, but also how do we want to develop our staff? And we then thought about things like how we might want to include people more in some of the work that we do. So it was a real mix of sessions that then helped us to bring lots of information together and join them together to think about what we might want Aspire to look like in 5 years' time.
Why do you think it's important to include people with learning disabilities with planning meetings?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question. I mean, Aspire is all about people. It's all about the people we support. That's what we do. We're here to provide the right care and support for people at the right time. So we can't do that without involving people in those decisions, because we've got to make sure that people with a learning disability have got a voice. You know best. You know better than we do about how things need to be for you, what works for you, what might not work for you. So one of the things that I'm really proud of, and this has been happening for many years, is we've got groups, council groups, forums where we involve people with a learning disability, including people who may not have verbal communication, in making their voice known. And we do that in lots of different ways, Chris. We have the customer council, which is where we have people with a learning disability as reps who gather ideas. We also do surveys quite often, where we ask people what they think about the services, and what comes back we try and we act on that, and we make sure that we're thinking about how we might change services. And we involve people in things like the development of the strategy. We also have people on our board. So there's lots of different ways that we try to make sure that we are seeking people's views and ideas. I'm sure there's always more we can do. But it is about, I think, just being good listeners, as well as, looking at trying to work with other partners, and being a listening organisation is what I think is really important.
I really like the idea of the board experts, including customers, directors, because it's not about the staff. It's about business thinking about themselves, and having experts and the customers on the board. It helps to raise our voices.
I agree. Yeah, and I think you're right. And I think one of the things that helps us, I think, is that we want to make sure that people like you, Chris, and people that we support with a learning disability, whatever their need, can have their say. You have a drink, can have their say. And I think the way that we do that, there is the board. So on our board of directors, we have an equal number of customers, staff, as well as non-executive directors. So customers have an equal stake in board decision making. And I meet with customers who are on our board before the board meetings, just to make sure everything's understandable, to actually ask if they have any questions, because board meetings can be quite long. There can be lots of people, yep. And I want to make sure that people understand what's happening in the board meeting, and customers do speak in the board meeting and give their views, which is fantastic. And also they know how they can then feed back ideas from the board or get ideas to come and challenge us, because that's what's important, is that people who are involved in our services can challenge us, can speak up, and can tell us when they want things to change.
It feels like this could be valuable role for people with learning disabilities to build leadership skills. It's their room for any progression in this role.
Good question, yes, and I think there is room for that. I think what we try to do is make sure that if people want to develop an idea or a skill, or they want to develop their leadership skills, they can. Am I allowed to say I think you're a good example of that? Because you wrote and talked about wanting to be involved in the marketing team, and some ideas, and we sort of worked together as a team, didn't we, to try and make that happen. I know that there are people who've been involved on our board of directors who've gone on to be on boards or have different roles with other organisations. So I think anything that we can do to try and support that progression. We do have people that we support in paid employment, but I do think it is about, just like we look at how we develop our staff, it's about the wider focus on staff and the people we support. I know we have people that we support who run some of our online sessions, and who you came to our board, Alice, and you talked as an expert in that meeting, about your experience of being involved with the space. But I think where people want to seek out those leadership skills, Aspire would very much support that, and I think we work with a lot of partners who also support that.
The role of customers directors sounds like it really makes a difference to someone. I think a job and a role can be life-changing for people with learning disabilities. It can get us out into the community and help us gain independence and learn new skills. The Aspire plan talks about employment for people with learning disabilities. How can Aspire make this happen?
It's an interesting one, is employment, because it's something that I have a real personal passion for. I love being employed and I love my job, and you're right, for some people. I think one of the really important things we've got to do for people with a learning disability is make sure that we support people to not see it as an add-on. We've got to try and help to remove those barriers, haven't we? And actually, it is a really difficult challenge for some people with a learning disability to access employment. So there's lots and lots of things that I think Aspire can do. And I think it's important that we don't try and do that on our own, because there's some fantastic people and partners in Leeds who are doing some really good work. So it's about working together in partnership. I think we've got to do more as an organisation to help employers understand just how valuable it can be to employ people with a learning disability. I think we've got to try and do more ourselves to employ people with a learning disability. We've got to practice what we preach. It's okay saying, people with a learning disability can be really good employees. But then if we're not employing people, we're not practicing what we preach. So I think there's something about us looking for ways that mean that we can help people into meaningful employment within Aspire.
Okay.
But
the Aspire plan is an exciting piece of work that could have a huge interest on people. with a learning disability. I'm really excited to see Aspire implement and build these goals and values. Thank you, Zoe, for the meeting, and thank you for your hard work.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's lovely to see you again.
Okay, tune in next time for another special guest. So thank you for joining. This is just Aaron, Zoe.